Hi everyone, my name is Laila, founder of Local Laila, which is going to be, or is kind of sort of, an art Instagram, as well as this YouTube channel where I'm going to be documenting everything. So I've been doing it for a few months now, and I have a few pointers, a few misses, a few pointers. I'm going to be straight out right now. My Instagram I think has around 40 or 50 followers. Most are friends. I think I have like 9 posts as well. But either way, I've still learned quite a bit from doing this for a few months alongside the YouTube stuff. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is equipment, because I feel like that is kind of one of the most important things that have helped me to progress, but also stopped me in my tracks while I was still beginning to figure out what I wanted to do. I'm still figuring out what I want to do. You want to make sure that you have stuff there to support you when you're experimenting and trying things and, you know, starting out. So my biggest piece of equipment is what keeps falling down, my cell phone. I use that to film, record, take pictures, document. I use it on TikTok, I use it on Instagram. I think a phone is very, very important. You can pretty much do anything with a phone. So that's my first thing, which most people already have a phone anyway. So if you have a phone, you're on the right track. So whatever type of artwork you're trying to do, whether it's online, whether it's painting, whether it's drawing or watercolor, you're gonna have to finance getting the actual means to do that stuff, which is quite obvious, but it doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, obviously if you're trying to do digital illustration, you're gonna need some other stuff, but you know, acrylic paints will do you good. This is a weird one that I wrote down, but it is kind of has to do with tools, not necessarily equipment, but tools. And that is having a comfortableness with being online. And that really depends on what type of art Instagram you're trying to create. If you want to have more of yourself and more of your personality in there, then you're going to have to be comfortable talking to a camera. You're going to have to be comfortable having strangers look at your videos. You're going to have to be comfortable literally like talking to thousands of strangers at a time. I say that when I only have 50 followers. But either way, in my research of looking at other artists' Instagrams, a lot of artists are quite actually reclusive, which isn't a bad thing, but in my personal opinion, people really like your personality. People like you for you. Obviously, people like your art as well if you're really, really talented. But I think today with influencers and followers and things like that, like you're gonna stand outside of the crowd if you can actually get people to like you and follow you for your personality. I'm planning on still putting myself out there, and that's in stories, that's in my posts as well. I might pose with some of my art and stuff like that. Just my branding is about my art and me, and I want them to be taken together. I guess it does depend on your like strategy, your marketing strategy, but that's gonna be mine going forwards. So I would say this one is really important, as you would probably see in the beginning of the video when my phone fell. You need a tripod or a camera stand. I'm gonna buy one, and I think I'm gonna get one that could be for a phone camera as well as a nice fancy camera. Which I said earlier, you know, don't be afraid of borrowing things from friends and family. Even now, like I'm borrowing a camera from my friend. My friend has graciously let me borrow their camera, and I'm going to use this to take pictures of my artwork. I don't think it would record. If it could record, I would have been doing my YouTube video with this. But anyway, I'm going to buy a stand for this as well. And that, yeah, but you don't really have to have a nice camera. The point is, use your resources. So if you have friends that have nice things that they don't really use that often, you could be cheeky and ask if you could borrow it. You know, you could say, I'll pay you £5 a month for it, I pay you £5 a week for it. Just don't be afraid to ask for something that you need, and I'm gonna take super good care of it because it's super expensive. I don't have like enough money to pay for it. Okay. Also, when you're doing your artwork, when you're doing it to create an art Instagram, I think one of the pitfalls that I fell in was trying to market it or trying to think of a core audience to market myself to. And I think that can work for like products in terms of like, I don't know, new lipstick or like makeup, or I said makeup twice, a new cell phone, I don't know, stuff like that. But when it comes to actual creative artwork, it's very, you're literally putting constraints on your artwork about what target audience you're trying to meet, and that's going to really impact your creativity. So what I'm gonna say is you have to create it because you want to create it, and you can't get too caught up in trying to make it marketable, make it about a brand, you know? In the first beginning stages, when you're first starting out your art Instagram, you're probably gonna have 30 to 50 followers who are all your friends anyway. And this is really the time to experiment, the time to get comfortable speaking to the camera, and the time to really find out how you want to post, how you want to do things. The next thing I want to talk about is time management. And you have to give yourself enough time and be realistic with the time. So for instance, for me, I take hours to do stuff. Like, I take a really long time. And if you take a really long time, it's not really possible to be posting every single day. Maybe you could do a post like once every 2 to 3 days. Obviously, your growth is going to stall, but then that's when the integrity comes back in. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it to gain followers, or are you doing this to practice your craft, to earn your craft, to find what works for you, and eventually develop your work? And the next thing in terms of time management is like actually the balance between trying to do this, trying to be successful, because it is kind of like a mini business, versus enjoying time with friends and family. And I think the best thing that you could do is try to merge the two. So what I'm going to try to do is join an art class. So that way I can still work on my art, I can meet other people, and I can still post things online. So I'm going to join an art class. I haven't joined yet, but I'm going to try, or an art club or something like that. So another thing about time management is people, you know, art takes a really long time, especially if you're working 5 days a week, especially if you have kids or children. I don't, but something that I knew that I wanted to do was work part-time so I could focus more time on my artwork and not have to compromise time with my friends or family. So currently right now I'm only working 3 days a week, and even with working 3 days a week, you still have to time manage and find time to do things, because it's so easy to be like, oh, you know what, well, okay, I'm not working on Wednesday, so I might as well go grocery shopping for like 5 hours in town. Like, no, you have to be, and this is what brings me to my next point. You have to be intentional with your time. You have to set out specific times that you're going to work on this, that, or that. And you have to be intentional with your time. Even though I have more time than most people would have, thank you for the privilege of having a part-time job that I can still afford to pay rent with. You still, with whatever amount of time that you have to be intentional with that time, and you have to make the most of it. In terms of time management as well, I would say have posting schedule management. So when you're first starting out, you're not going to know how much to post, you're not going to know what to post, you're not going to know what you want your timeline to look like. You can all think it out. And I'm still even really bad at this, to where I think right now I'm trying. Either way, so my advice on what I'm going to try is to post one piece of artwork every 2 to 3 days, and just keep going like that. Keep making my reels, because I really enjoy that. Keep posting on the stories about and letting people know that I am working on artwork, and then hopefully have good enough stuff to post in the timeline. I'm also going to talk about sacrifices for the greater good. And when most people think about sacrifices for business, people are always talking about hustling and grafting for work and like not hanging out with friends and blah, blah. I'm not going to do that, because I feel like relationships are kind of the most important things like in the world, and you shouldn't sacrifice your relationships for your goals. In my personal opinion, like, there can be compromises but no sacrifices at all. Okay, cool. My last tip is advice, and this is don't get stuck on the small stuff. I'm gonna list out some of my failures when I was first starting out. Don't get stuck on ability, okay? I'm not the greatest artist out there at all. And when I say like I'm not the greatest artist out there, yes, I did go to university for art and design, but I didn't make it into the fine art department. My art wasn't that good. I think I'm like beginner intermediate. I don't know, maybe like lukewarm intermediate, not hot intermediate, maybe like cold intermediate. The point is that my artwork is not that great. You can't get stuck on ability. Part of the journey is learning how to do it. Part of the journey is the growth, is the development. And so that will come naturally with your followers, so don't worry. I mean, I'm saying that, but I still only have 50 followers, but hopefully that will come naturally with your followers. Another thing that I got stuck on was concept. I tried, again, I think I mentioned before, I tried to have it all planned out. I knew exactly what colors I was using. I knew exactly what type of branding I was going to have. And I think it's okay to have a rough idea, but don't have a full finished piece when you're starting out. Have a hazy idea, and then it can get refined later. So don't try to stick yourself into a box, because then you're gonna get into a creative slump. You're gonna feel like you can't create anything other than what you said you were going to create, or you're going to sabotage. So just don't do that. Literally, do whatever you want, and eventually your style will develop. So don't worry. Don't try to rush it. Don't try to rush into it. It's not like those other Instagrams where you can just keep pushing out. It really is a learning and developmental process. So it's not realistically, unless you're already a really good artist and a really established artist, you have to go through the journey. You can't just jump. You have to go through the journey. And that's something I have to remind myself of as well, to be honest. My very last tip, and this is like sort of a bonus tip, but it's really obvious. You have to do it, not think it. That for me is really something that I really struggle with, and something that is really hard. And I don't mean like, oh, thinking I'm gonna do it and then not taking action on it. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that you cannot, like, some people can. My friend could, but for me, you cannot think step by step, think out your whole process. You can't do that, because then you just don't start. Like, as soon as you start something and it goes wrong, you don't know what to do. You just completely crunch it up and throw it away. No. Start and then see what happens. Let it grow. Let it go. Okay, and that is everything. Thank you for watching my video. I hope I am still recording because I can't see it on my phone. Give us a like if you watched this and if it was helpful. I'm going to be making more videos, obviously, about starting out in art Instagram, because I still have so much to talk about, and I have so much that I'm still learning. So as I learn and as I grow, I'll try to take you with me. I don't know, whatever. I'm still learning how to do this whole YouTube thing as well. But if you enjoyed it, please like, because I have to go through all this stuff myself, you know. This is real life experience. This is real life wisdom, not from a book. So I would appreciate it if you could like it. Anyway, and thank you for watching. And I guess I'll see you in the next one whenever I decide to post this. Thanks. Bye.